One of the best perks about video game journalism is that on the very odd occasion, you are given the opportunity to cover a game that is truly unique and that offers an experience like nothing else you've played before. Playing such niche or oddball games isn't something that all journalists are into, but for me, it's something that I simply revel in. And the game we're looking at today is one of those most unusual and unique games I have played yet. Triplicity is a minimalistic puzzle game that combines puzzle solving with Yu-Gi-Oh!-esque card battles. It is developed and published by Conflux Games and released on Steam March 9th, 2018. For what it lacks in modern visuals, it more than makes up for in complexity, content, and surprisingly addictive gameplay. Triplicity is one of those games that doesn't have a plot, but is rather created to give the player a unique gameplay experience, and that is exactly what it does. Essentially how Triplicity works is it is separated into two forms of gameplay. One is puzzle solving and the other is deck building and card battles that are very similar to Yu-Gi-Oh! But on a more basic level. The objective of the game is to make your way through each of the 8 very different worlds, which are accessed through a hub. Each world contains 9 puzzles to be solved and 3 card battles to be won, with each new world progressively getting more difficult in both cases. The puzzles generally revolve around moving a block or multiple blocks to a certain point in the puzzle area. At first you will only have one block with a bare minimum of blockades for you to overcome, but as you progress more blocks are included. Different blocks act in varying ways, and in some cases you need to control and move around multiple blocks simultaneously. There are some puzzles that require you to make a set of 9 tiles a certain colour by moving over them, while others require you to navigate a number of blocks through a map with gate blockades and using the blocks to place on pressure pads to unlock the gates. The first 5 worlds are basically an introduction to the many types of puzzles, where you're slowly eased into how the world works and their complexity. It is in the final 3 worlds that all you have learned is put to the test in increasingly difficult scenarios, as multiple types of the previously experienced puzzles could be put into one single puzzle. It is a very well thought out design that works exceptionally well for a game that is so unique. You don't need tutorials or guides on how the puzzles work. The gameplay does all that for you, teaching you as you go. It is simply outstanding puzzle design that very few games can ever pull off. Each world is separated into 3 zones, each containing 3 puzzles. Once you complete all the puzzles in one of these zones, a temple-like structure will appear where you will need to face its challenge before being able to continue. This challenge being a card battle. At the beginning of the game you will have a 30 card beginner's deck to use. You obtain new cards from finding secret chests in each world and by winning card battles. Even if you lose a battle you will still gain 1 card. When a card battle begins, 3 cards from your deck will be randomly put in your hand. You get to choose whether you want to keep these 3 cards or if you want to swap them out for another random 3. This can become very useful, as if you start off with an awful hand, it can really get you off to a bad start. Once you've made the choice to keep or discard your hand, it will be decided whether you or the computer will take the first turn. And it is here that the complexity of the card game comes into play. At the bottom of the screen you have your health points, how many cards are left in your deck, and 3 blue gems. The health points and cards are pretty self-explanatory. The gems, however, are a critical part of the gameplay. Every single card requires either 1, 2 or 3 of these gems to place them into play. The more powerful the card, the more gems are needed to play it. Each turn you only have 3 gems, so choosing what cards to put into play is crucial. Each card belongs to a specific card type, those types being the likes of fire, ice, dark, light and so on, have its own set damage and hit points. Most cards, though not all of them, also have specific abilities. For example, some cards have support roles which increase the damage and health of other cards in one form or another. Others are more aggressive and inflict damage when played either to the opponent's card or their overall health points. Some cards can freeze enemy cards for a turn or set up traps for the next card the opponent plays to damage it or kill it. When a card is placed on the battlefield, it won't be able to attack until the next turn, unless it has the quick attack ability on it. When you attack an enemy's card, or they attack yours, the damage of that card will lower the opponents by that amount, or if higher than their health points, it will kill them, damaging the enemy's hit points for the remaining amount. As an example, if your card has 7 damage and attacks a card with 4 hit points, it will kill the enemy card and also deal 3 damage to your enemy's overall health. The battle will continue until either you or your enemy's health reaches 0 or below. If either of you or both of you have no cards left in your deck, you will lose 1 hit point at the beginning of each turn until one loses all their health. This results in the battle never taking too long or there ever being a case of stalemate. If you win the battle you are awarded 3 new cards, and if you lose you gain 1 and must attempt the challenge again. The combat of the game is fast paced, fun, and has the complexity to some degree, though nothing close to the complex nature of Yu-Gi-Oh! But that isn't necessarily a bad thing, as it means that you don't have to be an expert at such card games to get into Triplicity while having enough to keep veterans happy. And it is surprising just how addictive the card game can be once you get to grips with it. A unique feature of Triplicity is that when you are being rewarded a new card, there is a possibility it will have additional abilities. Such cards are highlighted with a gold outline, and their gained abilities are also highlighted in gold. All the cards found in the secret chests scattered throughout each world are always gold, and all have additional abilities to their common counterparts. Then there are rare cards, which are shown by having a gold diamond in the centre of them. These are extremely powerful cards, either with their attack and defense, or by having very powerful abilities. You can only have 3 of these cards in a deck at any time. This is to keep your deck balanced and not having it overpowered. When building a deck, you must have a total of 30 cards to be able to use it. You can add any card to the deck that you wish and mix and match the different types. The one thing that you need to keep in mind when building the deck is to keep a balance between the stronger and weaker cards. If you have too many strong cards, you will be limited by how many cards you can play during a turn, resulting in your enemy overwhelming you. I found my Cannon Fodder deck to be the best build, which consists of 15 1-gem cards, 10 2-gem cards, 5 3-gem cards. It resulted in me almost always having cards on the battlefield, resulting in there always being opposition when the enemy was attacking. But there are various other strategic decks you can build as more cards are obtained. While building up your deck and trying out new strategies and builds is a lot of fun, it is the deck building in the game that is its weakest point, and it boils down to the randomness of being rewarded cards. Even after beating the game, I still have only just over 100 unique cards of the 180 total. This results in you being at the mercy of the RNG system when it comes to building up a deck of your preference, because you can get duplicate cards and often do. Maybe you wanted to go with a more defensive and buff intensive deck such as Nature or Ice. The chances are you won't have enough cards to make a full deck, or the cards that are available to you won't be balanced to make a strong deck out of them. And this is why I ended up just using my pretty bog standard Cannon Fodder deck through the entirety of the game, as it worked almost every single time, with the exception of maybe 3 or 4 defeats, which were down to bad luck. It would also be nice if the different card types had a more unique set of abilities to them. While some do, especially the dark type, most of the abilities are just the same no matter the type of card it is, and I just found having the different types a bit pointless. They just don't add anything much to the strategy of the game. The only time I had to change my deck a bit was fighting against a complete dark deck, which resulted in my dark cards not having much effect against the enemies, so I just switched them out for something else and I was good to go. Also, it is worth mentioning the deck building interface isn't very friendly. It is a design that looks like it was made for mobile devices as opposed to a game made for PC, Mac and Linux. And to make things worse, the scrolling down of the list is very unresponsive, sometimes not registering properly. But aside from that, everything works well. Finally, there is a tournament hall that is accessible from the hub. This is where you enter a tournament along with 7 other NPCs where you all battle it out to be the victor in a standard 1v1 format. There are 2 types of tournaments, the standard and the draft. The standard tournament, you choose your deck and play through a total of 3 battles to gain victory, where you'll be rewarded a gold card. The draft tournaments are a bit different in that you must build a deck from a random selection of cards and battle using the deck you build. This makes it the more challenging of the tournaments and really puts all you've learned to the test. They are great fun, but their existence is there for nothing more than added content and a way to obtain new cards after you complete the game, or having difficulty when progressing through a world challenge. Aside from the previously mentioned issues, the only other issue I would have with the game is the achievement to obtain all 180 unique cards. This is a monster achievement, as again you are at the mercy of the RNG of the game. You will have already unlocked all the other achievements and everything in the game long before you come close to this achievement, unless you're incredibly lucky, resulting in you playing tournament after tournament with fingers crossed that you're going to get those last cards you're missing, which could potentially take dozens of hours. Apart from that, Triplicity has outstanding gameplay. The switching between puzzles and card combat is excellent, keeping both of them from becoming stale, while neither is taxing enough to be stuck on either for any length of time, keeping the pacing consistent and the game accessible for all skill levels. Both hardcore puzzle players and card players might find the game's complexity a bit underwhelming in the difficulty, but if that can be looked past, it is a game that both card players and puzzle fans will certainly enjoy. While the visuals of the game are indeed minimalistic, don't think for a moment that the game is lacking in times of awe and incredible atmosphere. Each world in the game has its very own unique design, both visually, structurally and atmospherically. For example, the nature world is full of green lands, blue running rivers, and the sound of birds and nature can be heard alongside the flowing of water. While in the fire zone, everything is charred, mountainous with sparks and hot air filling the world. and each of these worlds have their own unique and distinctive ambient track to go with them. It just creates such an impressive atmosphere without the need for complex and detailed visuals, and it really absorbs you into the game. Along with that, the structures in the game have just amazing geometry to them, despite the game's minimalistic design. This is ever more shown the further you progress into the game, where the structures become more complex, and it's just jaw-dropping as you watch them assemble when revealing themselves. Triplicity may not have the plot to make your jaw drop, but the atmosphere and the creative design of the game's worlds more than make up for it with really awe-inspiring moments. And it is that mixed with the unusual gameplay combination that makes it a game that is like nothing you've ever experienced before. Triplicity is one of those games that very much reminds me of playing games as a kid in the 90s, where a lot of the games were made and played for the experience over anything else. And that is exactly what Triplicity is, an experience. There is no plot, no rhyme or reason for things. Everything is just as it is, and you need to just accept it and appreciate it for what it is, and experience it with an open mind. If you don't, you are going to have problems getting into the game. Aside from the somewhat weak deck building system and horrible interface, Triplicity is an outstanding game that gives the player a unique, awe-inspiring experience like no other. It may be minimalistic, but it can still be very visually stunning, especially with how much design and complexity the developer has given the structures of the game. The puzzles are fun yet not taxing, the card battles are complex and strategic, but do not require prior card battle experience to be able to learn and play, making the game accessible for players of all skill levels. And with that, I give Triplicity a 9 out of 10. It is an unusual game and certainly not one that will appeal to everyone, but sit back, play it and appreciate Triplicity for what it is, and you will find just how enjoyable and addictive the game really is. And it is one I really hope to see a sequel that expands on what makes the original such brilliance and a joy to play.